Hello everyone, welcome to 10-Minute Physiology. In today's video, I'm going to give you a short introduction to smooth muscles. So with that, let's begin. So I'd like to start off by first describing to you the two types of smooth muscle. So the first type is multi-unit smooth muscle. So in order to understand what I mean by multi-unit smooth muscle, let's just quickly identify all the parts of this figure. So the first part is going to be the smooth muscle cell itself. And what you should notice here is that each of these smooth muscle is actually going to be innervated by a motor neuron. And what we see here with the motor neuron is that on the shaft of this motor neuron, there are these bulges. So these bulges are actually going to act as synapse sites. So this is where there is going to be different neuromuscular junctions. So therefore, each individual smooth muscle cell is going to be innervated multiple times. And these bulges are called varicosities. So what should you notice from this figure? Well, you should really notice 3 points. So the first point is that each muscle cell is going to be individually innervated. So this allows these types of smooth muscle to be finely controlled. And the other thing that you should notice is that there are no gap junctions between the smooth muscle cells. Therefore, each smooth muscle cell is going to act independent of the other. Therefore, each of these smooth muscle cells acts as an independent contractile unit. And that's why it's called a multi-unit smooth muscle. So the second type is unitary smooth muscle. And the only difference between unitary and multi-unit is the presence of gap junctions. So what we see here are these gap junctions, and these gap junctions connect different muscle cells together. And this allows these cells to act as an electrical synesthesium. So there are 3 things that you should notice here. So the first thing is that not all the muscle cells are innervated. There is a coordinated contraction due to the gap junctions, and it's because of this coordinated contraction and the gap junctions that allows this type of smooth muscles to act as a single unit. So this is why this is called unitary smooth muscle. And one last thing is that smooth muscle is going to be controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So this is going to be involuntary muscle movement. So smooth muscle contraction is going to be involuntarily controlled. So where are smooth muscles in the body? So the first place that we see them are in the GI tract. So smooth muscles are going to be in the esophagus, in some parts of the esophagus. Smooth muscle is going to be in the stomach. It's going to be in the intestines as well. And the smooth muscle in this case is going to be responsible for opening and closing certain sphincters. It's going to be responsible for propelling food in one direction. It's going to be responsible for propelling waste out of the body. And it's going to be responsible for churning food inside the stomach and propelling it all the way towards the antrum of the stomach. So smooth muscle is incredibly important for the digestive tract. Another thing smooth muscle is important for is the blood vessels. So smooth muscle cells are going to control vasodilation and vasoconstriction. So it's going to be determining how much blood flow certain organs get. Another place it's going to be is in the renal system. And it's also going to be in the respiratory system. So inside the respiratory system, you have different tubes, and some of these tubes are going to have smooth muscle around them. It's also going to be inside the eye itself. So it's going to control the muscles in the pupil, and it's also going to control some process called lens accommodation. And we're going to talk about that in our sensory videos. So don't worry about that for right now. And it's also going to be in the reproductive tracts. And it's even going to be the pili muscles that are responsible for making your hair stand up. So smooth muscles are incredibly important to our physiology, which is why it's important to understand how they work. Now, the last thing I would like to cover in this video are what smooth muscle cells actually look like. So the first thing that you should notice here is that smooth muscle cells have these black circles here called dense bodies. And these dense bodies are made up of protein, and they connect intermediate filaments together. What we also see in smooth muscle cells are going to be thick and thin filaments. So the thick and thin filaments are going to be responsible for smooth muscle cell contraction. So the main thing to remember about smooth muscle is that the smooth muscle is going to be non-striated, and it's also going to be involuntarily controlled. So what are we going to cover in our next 3 videos? So in the next video, we're going to cover smooth muscle action potentials. Then we're going to cover excitation-contraction coupling in smooth muscle. And then we're going to conclude with this discussion on smooth muscle cell contraction. So I hope this video gave you a good introduction as to what smooth muscle cells look like and some of the different properties, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.